And now about the most volatile Russian problem of the day. A final decision on Chechnya will be made by the Security Council of Russia around the 8th of December. This was stated today by Pavel Grachov. Together with the Minister of Internal Affairs and the Director of the Federal Service of Counterintelligence, the Minister of Defense left today for the Northern Caucasus region in order to organize dialogues with the conflicting sides in Chechnya. The Minister of Defense stated that he is ready to begin these talks as early as tomorrow and intends to meet with Jahar Dudayev and Umar Avturkhanov. In the event that the sides don't agree to go and attend the talks, it's not excluded that a special form of rule will be declared in Chechnya, said Pavel Grachov, and reminded that by decree of the President of Russia, the 15th of December is the absolute deadline set for the conflicting sides to lay down their arms. In order to conduct forceful measures, units of forces and means have been prepared from among the subunits of the Ministry of Defense and the internal forces of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Russia and special forces, said Pavel Grachov. Today, the Minister of Defense admitted that Russian planes had launched strikes on objects of Dudayev forces. Pavel Grachov told the Tatas that bomb raids were launched on airports where Tu-134 planes were located, which had transported to Chechnya mercenaries and weapons. The Minister of Defense, however, categorically disavowed affirmations that ostensibly raids were conducted on residential areas of Grozny. Chechnya continues to balance between war and peace, but the situation in the Republic overall was calm today. In Grozny, in the center of the city, the rally continued. Incidentally, the same people are demonstrating here, and they've probably become quite familiar to our television viewers. A rally was held today also by the residents of Urus Martan, where the basic forces of the opposition are located. Now, one may surmise that the situation in Chechnya, from a direct armed resistance, is entering the phase of a political battle. In the capital of the Republic, talks are being held simultaneously by several delegations. According to the Temporary Information Center, Grozny leadership did not wish to hold talks in mineral waters, Armavir, Kislovodsk, Pyatigorsk, or Stavropol, but on the other hand, they proposed Vilnius or Vladikavkaz. The Russian Commission, however, was not satisfied with these cities either. The specifying of the venue for talks continues. Jahar Dudayev said today that he will always and remains a supporter of equitable dialogue. According to the Temporary Information Center, citing an anonymous but well-informed source, the Dudayev regime is recruiting foreign mercenaries. Armed terrorist groups are being brought to Chechnya in order to execute diversionary and terrorist acts. A group of terrorists was brought in through the territory of Azerbaijan. The airplane, which was on a second flight delivering mercenaries to Chechnya through that republic, according to the Temporary Information Center, was shot down by the helicopters of the Interim Council. As was reported in the last few days, overall, more than 300 armed terrorists have arrived in Grozny. By commercial flight to the city, members of a Ukrainian national organization arrived, the UNA-UNSA. The president of the Confederation of the Caucasus Peoples, Yuri Shamibov, told a correspondent of Tartas today that from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea, volunteers are being recruited, but the regiments are not headed for Grozny, but for the mountains of the Caucasus. Both chambers of the Russian Parliament, the Federative Council, and the State Duma today announced that they intend within the next few days to discuss the situation in Chechnya. In the Federative Council, this matter will be examined the 6th of December, in the State Duma on the 8th. The position of the Federative Council on the problem of declaring a state of emergency in Chechnya was expounded on today by the Speaker of that chamber, Vladimir Shumeka. Subunits of border and internal forces, as well as the armed forces of the Russian Federation, are being concentrated along the border with the Chechnya Republic, not to conduct war with the people of Chechnya, but to create an insurmountable barrier on the path of the insurgents into Chechnya of weapons and ammunition and combat technology, and so-called volunteers of various nationalities and various nationalistic and religious tendencies. According to Vladimir Shumeka, the Federative Council may examine the question of declaring a state of emergency in Chechnya, but not before such time that on its territory, through measures provided by the Constitution, combat activity will cease and all conflicting groups are disarmed. Citing the principle of division of powers, the chairman of the Federative Council declined commentary on the involvement in the Chechnya conflict by the army and special forces of Russia. In the morning, the Council of the Duma met. It was decided Thursday to hold a closed session to discuss the situation in Chechnya. We're very alarmed that there is an attempt to resolve the problem of Chechnya through military means. A statement to the press was made by the leader of the faction, Russia's Choice, Yegor Gaidar. The analysis of the events, as well as direct information from the site of occurrences, permits one to assess the occurrence as an action aimed at destabilizing the situation in Russia. An attempt to foil democratic transformations. In the statement, there was a demand toward the president to decide the question of the measure of responsibility of the Minister of Defense Grachov, the Director of the FSK Stepashin, the Secretary of the Security Council Lobov, and the Minister on Affairs of Nationalities Yegorov. We are demanding a scrupulous inquiry be launched into the actions of Russian force structures in Chechnya and hold responsible, that includes criminally responsible, all those involved in a criminal venture in that republic. Such actions, Gaidar said, are provocations aimed at the president. The situation must be regularized exclusively through peaceful means. Furthermore, regions of Chechnya, which recognize the jurisdiction and constitution of Russia, must be assisted. Answering questions, the chairman of the Committee on Defense, Sergei Yushchenkov, referring to a conversation with the president, Gerard Dudayev, noted that such an intense issue as the status of Chechnya could be the object of special talks. Today, Sergei Yushchenkov submitted a proposal at the Duma's council to amend the constitution in the area of control functions of the Duma over the activities of figures in authority. And now about the fate of Russian prisoners still in Chechnya. The vice president of Chechnya, Yendar Biev, told Interfax today that the matters have been settled regarding handing over to a delegation of the Liberal Democratic Party currently in Grozny several imprisoned Russian military servicemen. But the chairman of the Duma Committee on Defense, Sergei Yushchenkov, who had previously been in charge of this matter, feels that talks on their release must be conducted on a government level.